All right, we're back with another episode of the Steel Studio Podcast. We are here with our NFL expert, Chad Schmock. Chad, it's Thanksgiving week and the holidays are upon us. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. How about you? You doing all right?
Fantastic. We're 10-0.
Woo! 10-0. Yeah.
So, we wanted to preview the Ravens with you. The big news right now with the Ravens is they have some positive COVID tests. How do you think this is going to affect the game for the Ravens?
I think it becomes very difficult for them. Just looking at the COVID test, you got J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram, who are both huge parts of that running game. They're number 1 and number 3 running backs. Brandon Williams, who's another starter on defense for them, is going to be out as well. And then they just announced Pernell McPhee, a linebacker, who's going to be out. So I think they're going to be missing at least 3 real quality impact players in Dobbins, Ingram, and Williams. And McPhee's a little bit more of a depth piece. So I think it definitely puts question marks in the run game. They're going to be probably looking at starting Gus Edwards as their starter, and then with the backup of Justice Hill, who's a little bit more untested. So instead of being able to run out 3 running backs and keeping everybody fresh, it's going to be a little bit more daunting dealing with that Steelers run defense with only 1 quality NFL starting running back.
Oh, boo-hoo, man. I don't feel sorry for them. I shouldn't say that because then we'll get 10 positive tests. Hopefully the guys will be okay and be healthy and be back next week for them.
Definitely.
But, Chad, a lot has changed since we played him last. Lamar is definitely not where he was last year in the MVP conversation. Are they starting to ask in Baltimore if he's really the franchise quarterback in the future?
I don't think they're there yet, but I think, there's definitely some whispers around him. I don't think he's the lock to get that Mahomes-type contract anymore, but I think that offense maybe has run its course a little bit. I think it's very similar to the one that Kaepernick ran in San Francisco that, was successful for a couple years and then the NFL caught up. I think he's going to have to learn to do some other things, be a little bit better pocket passer, because I think defensive coordinators are starting to catch on to what they do, and it's a simplistic offense once you figure it out, and he's going to have to grow as a quarterback. It's going to be tough sledding for him, I think.
Absolutely. The offensive line, they took a hit when I think it was Ronnie Stanley was lost for the season. How have they been playing since overall?
They still have a really deep offensive line. But yeah, losing Stanley hurts them. They also lost Nick Boyle, who is a backup tight end, but he was really kind of the blocking tight end that made that run offense go, and he's gone for the year with a knee. So I'm interested to see kind of how they play without him, and obviously the Stanley impact. I think that's going to be quite difficult on them. I think it's going to be tough to run anyway, but I think it's going to be even tougher without him in there to kind of set the tone.
So, Chad, you mentioned the running game a little bit already, but with Dobbins and Ingram out, who's going to carry the load?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot less by committee. I think they're going to ask a lot of Gus Edwards, and I think, they're probably going to have Lamar run the ball a little bit more, and I think that question has to come up of they're going to ask Lamar to run the ball more. How many times is he going to be able to get up? Because you can only take so many hits, and I think he's going to have to take a few more than what he's used to this week if they're going to expect to win. But from a running back perspective, if Gus Edwards doesn't perform, it's going to be a really, really long night for them. So I don't think Justice Hill is going to go in there and do anything too spectacular.
Definitely. And let's say that those guys are even healthy. Is this run game, even with those guys there, is it as potent as it was a year ago?
Not even close. Mark Ingram is the fantastic running back. I think J.K. Dobbins really helped them. He's starting to come along. He had a big game last week, so he was really starting to break out. So I think the lack of depth is definitely going to hurt them. I think that was probably their number 1 strength in their running game.
Okay, well, that's good. We talked about this last time a little bit too, but the receiving core, if we shuffle over to them, it still seems like a weakness there, even with Des Bryant. I kind of want to get your thoughts on how he looks and if he's really adding much to the team and how much is kind of left in the tank for him.
I think he's got a little bit left in the tank. I think, anytime you have an aging kind of superstar player, they always have that one more big game that they're probably capable of. So the lights are going to shine the brightest on prime time Thanksgiving night. So I think he could come out and have a big game. I don't expect it, but I think they're going to ask some things of him. When you look at the receiving core, it's really the tight end, Mark Andrews, is a security blanket for Lamar Jackson. That's who he's going to go to when the chips are down or when they need a big play. And they also have Marquise Brown out of Oklahoma, who they thought was going to be their number one. I don't think he's really a number one, but he's more of a deep threat and kind of a speed guy. And they have Willie Snead as well, who's another probably 2 or 3 wide receiver, but nobody that is really going to worry you by any means. So I think going into next year, they need to find a true number one receiver if they're going to continue to be successful.
That's perfect. You took the answer for my next question right out of my mouth, so I'm going to shuffle over to you, Rick.
Is Andrews healthy? Was he on the injury list this week?
He is. He's got a little bit of a thigh injury, but it's not anything that they're expecting him to really miss time with. But he's just kind of had more of a veteran day, I think.
Damn.
We're bringing back Louis Lips for this game, so we can have our one big veteran guy have a big game.
Yeah, I think he might be a little past that for Louis. That might hurt a little bit going out there and taking the hit.
You met Louis. He's a good dude.
I did. He's a really good guy.
Well, on to the defense. With Brandon Williams out, that's got to be huge for us as far as running the football. I think last time we played him when he was out, we were able to run the ball. As far as him and the off-season additions, are they as good as they were advertised, or are they fitting in as well as they thought they would?
I think it's a little bit more of a work in progress. I think they have some really, really good pieces. The big one for them, Calais Campbell, is a little bit dinged up. They're hopeful that he's going to play. He missed last week with a leg injury. If he doesn't play, that's going to be huge. Definitely no Williams hurts them, but no Williams and Calais Campbell, you're probably not going to overcome that. They brought in Yannick Ngakoue from the Jaguars, who's just an elite level pass rusher, and he makes them so much better, but he's only been there a few weeks trying to learn that defense and trying to find a way to fit in. He's not all the way back or all the way where he should be, but he'll get there as it goes further on through the year. But, I mean, they have a good defense. It's just a little banged up right now. You've seen them at a good time.
Have they been getting to the quarterback much?
Yeah, so that wing Martindale defense, they dial up the blitzes, and they're going to blitz kind of from everywhere. So they're doing a little bit more off the edges, but they'll bring the safeties, they'll bring the corners. So very blitz-heavy package from them.
It'll be interesting because the Steelers have only given up 2 sacks in the last 5 games, and they haven't given one up in the last 3 games. Ben's last 150 pass attempts, so hopefully that'll continue. But it'll be tough against them because they usually get a couple.
Yeah, they find ways to get there. They're creative on defense, that's for sure.
We know the linebacker group and the secondary group is very good. Do you expect the Steelers to attack them just like they did last time through the air?
I look for them to do a little bit more ground and pound this time, just based on some of the injuries that the Ravens have. But I mean, I definitely think that there's going to be some play action and some downfield shots. I think passing game for the Steelers is really starting to come around, so I think we'll see a fair dose of that. But I also think they're going to take advantage of the opportunity to run the ball as well.
So, Chad, people keep saying this is a big game for the Ravens. Is this truly a defining moment for them, or can they buy some time even if they lose here?
I don't think it's a defining moment by any means. I think, in my opinion anyway, the division is pretty well sewn up. So I think it's a big game. I mean, if you go on national television and get blown out, which, let's be honest, there's a real possibility that could happen, that really, really starts to get the clock moving on Lamar Jackson and starts some serious questions and conversations to be had. But, I mean, given the fact that now we have all these COVID issues, I think it gives them an excuse to not really push the panic button. I think if they were healthy and they went out and got beat as badly as I expect them to get beat, there would be some alarm bells going off. But I think in the building they know what's about to happen and they understand they're a playoff team, but they're not there yet. They're not on that Steelers level quite yet.
Well, that's really good to hear. What do you think the final score will be?
I like the Steelers by a couple scores here, especially with all of the injuries. If they end up getting Campbell back, I think we're in the 10 to 13 point range. No Calais Campbell, I think you're looking at like a 17 to 20 point win. But I think the Steelers win pretty easily.
Yeah, Chad, this COVID thing scares me. What if you get in the playoffs and like Ben Roethlisberger tests positive? That'd be devastating.
I look for some type of protocols there and some things maybe with a flexible playoff schedule. I know with that extra week with the Super Bowl they could do some things, but I mean, you look at a Ben Roethlisberger, you look at a Patrick Mahomes, a Russell Wilson, anybody like that, a true superstar gets it, and a team that's been the best team in the league all year might end up going out and getting beat because of something that's completely out of their control. So my hope is that the NFL is going to do something to try to make sure that we get the best players on the field, if at all possible.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good for the league either. So
no,
hopefully they do that.
Chad,
how about the other games on Thanksgiving? We don't have a whole lot going on this year, so I'm sure a lot of people are going to be watching. Dallas at home against Washington and Houston at Detroit. Who you got in those games?
Not good football, that's for sure. You gotta feel good about Alex Smith, right? I mean, that's just such a great story. I'd like to see Washington pull one out there, and tough to root for the Cowboys ever. So I think Washington probably gets that one, and then what team is Detroit going to be, right? They play well one week and they play pretty poorly one week. I think the rumor is that DeAndre Swift is going to be back from a concussion this week, and big play running back with Stafford. I think Detroit finds a way to win, mostly because Houston outside of Watson is just a horrible football team. So I'd lean towards Washington and Detroit, but four bad teams, anything could really happen there, I think.
Matthew Stafford, one of the best quarterbacks ever on a good team. I don't understand it.
Getting into that Carson Palmer type mold where you're a good player on a bad team for a lot of years.
Yeah. Well, Chad, thanks as always, and we hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving, and we look forward to next game, reviewing it with you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
Good
as
luck
always,
this weekend,
man.
and happy Thanksgiving to you guys as well.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye, guys.